Happy Sabbath. Happy day. We'll kneel for a silent word of prayer. Amen. In my previous study, I did a study actually on Project 2025. We did a review of the Project 2025, and there's a comparison I was making actually of Ronald Reagan and Trump, and what led me to that comparison of Ronald Reagan and Trump is because actually the first document similar to Project 2025, mandate for leadership, was first coined just before Ronald Reagan's presidency, and he was the first actually to use the document. And it said that actually that in his presidency he implemented within the first year, not the first term, the first year, he had implemented 60% of what was in the document. And come this time, in our time, in the time of Trump, yes, the mandate for leadership document actually has been written just before every election by, is it the Institute of what? I don't remember the term. So it has been written every day, but this time round actually they had it actually somewhere written that as the 180-day playbook for the conservative presidency if they manage to win the presidency. And my argument is that actually there's a lot actually that has been implemented. My argument then was that the Sunday law issue, on the Sunday law issue, there has to be an agitation, okay? And the agitation on it actually was in the campaigns whereby we had people actually analyzing what is in Project 2025 and warning people actually. The Democrats were warning people, hey, look, this is what is contained in the document. So don't do what? As you vote, think twice about this. But nonetheless, what did people do? People went ahead and did what? And made a choice. They chose Trump, knowing that in their mind. So for me, the campaigns that actually were being made actually and the highlight on Project 2025, they were actually an agitation. I'm saying actually they were an agitation for the Sunday law, in my opinion. And I want to say actually that I better to read a news article here to show that actually a lot has been implemented on it so far. Trump was just inaugurated the other day. It's less than a month. It's not even a month now. And by the executive orders that were given on the day of inauguration, actually, a lot of what is contained in the 900-page book, the mandate for leadership of Project 2025, was implemented through the executive orders that he gave them. So, allow me read these. So as of February 14th, 2025, President Donald Trump has implemented numerous policies that align with or even surpass the recommendations outlined in the conservative policy blueprint known as Project 2025. Despite initially distancing himself from the project during his campaign, Trump's early executive actions have closely mirrored its proposals. In his initial days in office, hold on. So the article that I'm reading is from Reuters. And the title of the article as well is "With Blitz of Policies, Trump Goes Beyond Project 2025 Goals." The article was written on February 14th, 2025. So I'll just read an excerpt, actually, whatever I picked from the article. In his initial days in office, Trump issued over 50 executive orders and policy directives, many of which reflect or exceed Project 2025's goals. For instance, he has moved to dismantle the U.S. Agency for International Development, that is USAID, and has effectively barred transgender girls from participating in women's sports actions that are more ambitious than those proposed in Project 2025. So actually something that is trending today. Today, actually, when you go to X, I woke up in the morning. For one of the things that actually I do, I go to X, I see what is happening in social media. And the top topic that is actually trending there, you said is trending today. You said actually is trending today. And actually we'll get to it. But one of the things they are saying is that you said was being used to fund what? To fund terrorism, and especially Boko Haram in Nigeria, that what is his name? Barack Obama. Yeah, Barack Obama actually used USAID to fund Boko Haram. So we'll get to that. So I'll read another article here from The Guardian, and to give Nini to the document, let me give the title. I have it as a link, so So Trump and Musk launch mass layoff at several US federal agencies. So I remember in the previous study, we took some time actually to speak on something to do with Schedule F. I spoke of Schedule F actually in the previous study, and we dwelt much on it. And he said actually Schedule F actually is, let me say, is it a policy, or let me say that Trump had put in place when he was president, okay? But when Biden came, let me say he overruled it, or he removed it. But actually they have come up with another policy actually to return it. In a way, it has been returned in a way. So additionally, Trump established the Department of Government Efficiency, known as ni Doge ama Doge ama ndaitaje Doge, Doge, I don't know. Department of Government Efficiency, appointing Elon Musk to lead the initiative aimed at reducing federal spending and combating waste. Doge has initiated mass layoff across various federal agencies, including the Department of Education. Now, remember, also in our previous study actually on Project 2025, we focused so much actually on the changes that they were planning to do on the Department of Education. So Department of Education, the Small Business Administration, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. These actions have led to legal challenges and debates regarding their impact on essential government functions. Another article from Time magazine. The title of the article is Trump's Early Actions Mirror Project 2025, the blueprint he once dismissed. Remember, we said actually that when he was asked actually whether he's gonna implement Project 2025, actually he said that actually he has not even read it. He has not even read it, and he's not gonna do it actually. But I think he was just trying to play safe actually to get the votes of the undecided, let me say the undecided voters. And one thing that we highlighted actually that we'll also see is that a better part of the people actually who went into, who coined or who wrote Project 2025 were members of his previous administration. And after his inauguration, we'll see that actually some of these people actually were there in developing that document on Project 2025 actually are already back in his government. And so he can't actually deny that he's not implementing what is on Project 2025. So reading the article from Time magazine, Trump's early action. The title of the knee is Trump's early actions mirror Project 2025, the blueprint he once dismissed. So an analysis by Time found that nearly 2/3 of the executive actions Trump has issued so far mirror or partially mirror proposals from the 900-page Project 2025 document, ranging from sweeping deregulation measures to aggressive immigration reform. So, the document that I read earlier actually had said that actually Trump so far has signed over 50 executive orders, but actually the over 50, actually, to put it to context, allow me to read this article from Federal Register.gov, ama mtasema gov, whatever. The article is 2025 Donald J. Trump Executive Orders, the Federal Register. So according to the Federal Register, on January 20th, 2025, which was the inauguration of Donald Trump, President Donald Trump signed a significant number of executive orders upon his inauguration. According to the Federal Register, the first executive order signed by President Trump in 2025 is numbered E 14147, and the last is E0 14206, including a total of 60 executive orders signed in 2025. So if you do a simple maths, when you do a subtraction actually on this, if this is the first executive order, the number, the serial number for the first executive number for executive order given, and this is the last given on that day. So if you do a simple subtraction, how many are these? 206 minus 147? Huh? 59. 59. So those are the executive orders signed on the day of inauguration. And it said of these, 2/3. So two-thirds of these, let me say 2/3 of the 59 executive orders, they are what? They're actually what is contained on Project 2025. So far, how many days do we have since his inauguration? January 20th to date, today is 15th. It's about 25 days, okay? So to date, it's 25 days. Yet actually, Project 2025 is known as what? The 180-day playbook of, let me say, the conservative presidency. However, it is important to note that not all of these were signed on inauguration day. Reports vary regarding the exact number of the executive orders signed on January 20, 2025. Some sources suggest that President signed 54 executive orders within the first 2 weeks of his term, with which would include those signed on Inauguration Day. Another report indicates that he signed 118 executive orders, actions, and memoranda. So if you include, we have 59, they are said to be about 59 executive orders, and then we have, where was I reading? 118 executive orders, actions, and memoranda on January 2025. So I don't know what is the difference between an executive order, actions, and the memoranda, but actually when they are combined all together, actually they add up to about 118, which encompasses a broader range of presidential directive beyond just executive orders. Therefore, while the exact number of executive orders signed specifically on Inauguration Day varies across reports, it is evident that President Trump took immediate and extensive executive action upon assuming office. So, before I highlight actually what I wanted to highlight actually were, I have some 10 points that I want to highlight what is contained on the executive orders and what has gone into effect so far. Like the issue about USAID or US aid is already something in the public domain, and actually I bet you've seen it on news, you've come across it everywhere. And today actually it's the number 3 trending topic, as when I checked it when I woke up, it's the number 3 trending subject in Kenya and in the world. So we'll take some time actually to go to USAID, but let me go back to whatever we had done last time. I remember I did a comparison between Ronald Reagan and Trump and said that Ronald Reagan actually was the first one to use, the mandate for leadership to, and he implemented it within the first, he had implemented 60% within the first year, okay? And I compared him to Trump because one, I tend to believe actually the effect, the conservative measures that he had put in place while as a president, Reagan, which most news articles will term as Reaganism. You'll find economic Reaganism and so forth in several news articles actually, outlasted, or they went beyond his presidency, okay, whatever he had done. Just like what we term as Trumpism, in his first term as the president, we say that actually whatever Trump actually put in place actually outlasted, let me say, his presidency. And when we had, actually, we would say that actually this is what, when we were discussing the subject of the last president of US, I remember part of the argument actually that we had is that after Biden came in as a president, we had studies actually showing that actually it's not actually him, like him in person, Trump, by being the last president actually, but the issue of his policies lasting for a long time. So Reaganism actually, it said that actually it lasted for quite some time until most of them actually were repealed on President Obama's presidency, okay? And I did a comparison and I gave around some 12 points on why Trump resembles Reagan, and I remember saying that Trump's presidency actually is a resurrection of Ronald Reagan's presidency. I remember counting and saying that Ronald Reagan actually was the first president to use the mandate for leadership, And when you count from him, the president that have been, Trump is the 8th. And the number 8, we associated with the resurrection, rebirth, and so forth. We gave evidences to that. Noah's Ark and other points that we gave from the Bible to prove that. Now, I want us to revisit actually the key points actually that were highlighted on why Trump resembles Ronald Reagan. So, if you remember, because I'm sure actually they'll be part of the things that I'll be reading on what has been implemented. I bet most of us were in that class. I took quite some time actually to try and emphasize those points. So you can give me the points. The first one. I'm short, so allow me right here. Let me not call it comparison, but let me write it as similarities. One. Steve.
What I remember is that both of them were first under Democrats.
Yeah, so both of them were Democrats before changing to become Republicans. Another one.
I think both of them are brought to power by the evangelicals, the conservative evangelicals.
Maybe rephrase it. Both of them were put in power by conservative evangelical. I agree with that, but I think there's how I need it rephrased. Because I bet all the previous presidents actually that have come, Republican presidents, that have been brought to power by conservative evangelicals. I believe that. Yes. Yeah, they are both media personalities. They are both media personalities, and there is something that they come across somewhere. I like to read on that. So they are both media personalities and or actors. They have acted before. So Reagan was known as the great communicator and used TV effectively to sell his policies. And Trump has mastered social media and especially Twitter to bypass traditional media and speak directly to supporters. Both understood and leveraged media to connect with voters and control the political narrative. So there is something on that that I'd seen somewhere. Anyway, I'm not getting it. So give me the next point. So let me say the assassination attempts assassination attempts. Both had assassination attempts. Ronald Reagan was shot, and actually he stayed in the hospital for quite some time, and people thought that actually that he's gonna die, but his doctors insisted that he doesn't need actually to leave the hospital bed, but at some point I think he left the hospital, went to the hospital bed, and I don't know whether the window, and addressed the public, and that helped propel actually his re-election. Trump, we know what happened. It's so recent. He was shot somewhere, I think in the ear, by somebody in the knee, and that, in a way, if you read some articles, helped him gather some sympathy, let me say sympathy votes from the multitude. Another one, we spoke of Supreme Court appointments. Both of them nominated 3 Supreme Court judges, changing allow me read on this. It says Ronald Reagan appointed 3 conservative justices, including Antonin Scalia. Trump appointed 3 conservative justices, shifting the court to the right. So both had a lasting impact on the judiciary by appointing conservative Supreme Court justices. Besides that, during Ronald Reagan's time, I remember reading that he appointed, 384 federal judges? During Ronald Reagan's presidency, he named 384 federal court appointments, an all-time high to date. So, with Reagan, we are saying he named 384 federal judges, and we know these influences actually how actually the Constitution is interpreted and how policies actually are made in the country. So, another point, what else have we highlighted? Yes? So, Reagan opposed broadly Roe v. Wade, and Trump also opposed Roe v. Wade, and we know it has been overturned. The knee of Roe v. Wade has been overturned, and actually there's a mention on it on Project 2025 on issues to do with abortion and abortion rights. There is what they are to do on that, which is written on the document Project 2025. And then we spoke of, because I don't want to dwell on it much, we spoke of false facts, we spoke of homophobia, and I remember highlighting at some point Reagan said that actually it's during Reagan's presidency actually that the issue of HIV became, let me say, later a pandemic or something of a concern in the world. And in a comment at some point, Reagan said that actually that HIV/AIDS was a punishment of God brought about by, is it homosexuals? He said such a thing. So the other thing is the epidemic. In the new, we have the pandemic of HIV/AIDS in the presidency of Ronald Reagan, and with the presidency of Trump, we have the COVID-19 pandemic and how they handled it in terms of funding and everything. You can go and look into that. And then we spoke of tax rises on both of them. Now, and then we also highlighted that they are both, let me say, racists, or let me say white, should we call it white supremacist or what? Yeah, so having highlighted that, I want to highlight some key highlights on Trump executive orders, or not actually the content of the executive order, which relate to Project 2025, which we are reviewing last time. And then we look at the issue of US aid or USAID, and then we'll be closing. So on January 20, 2025, immediately following his inauguration, President Donald Trump signed a series of executive orders aimed at reversing policies from the previous administration and implementing his campaign promises. While the exact number of executive orders on that day is not specified in the available sources, key actions include: 1. Mass pardons for January 6 rioters. So President Trump pardoned approximately 1,500 individuals involved in the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot, fulfilling a campaign promise and overturning years of Justice Department efforts. That's from Politico. I won't give the exact, the title of the article is Trump Executive Order Actions, Proclamations, Legislation. So I'll just read the points, because actually going to read the titles of the news articles will take me time, because what I have are links to the articles here. So I need to open them. So there is an immigration crackdown. He signed multiple executive orders targeting illegal border crossings and broader immigration issues, signaling a stringent approach to immigration enforcement. So you've heard of the idea of people snitching on others who don't have documents, okay? And there's a reward being given. So if you snitch to ICE about so-and-so doesn't earn, and they make a successful arrest and deportation, you are what? Is it $750 US? How many dollars? I think $750 US. And was it on the, I don't know on what day actually, immediately after he signed, then is it the next day or that week alone, 800 people got deported. So far, I don't know how many people have been deported. Now, speaking about this, on the issue of about immigration, actually, something came to my mind. What do you think? I want to get your ideas on Kenya. Recently, our president, Ruto, went to Isiolo. And I don't know what to call it. Is it an executive order or what? There's something that is signed, a document actually that repealed that you don't have the Somalis who come to Kenya through a the Wajir border. They don't have to go through the panel for interview and vetting before they can get what? Kenyan citizenship. Okay? So, what's your take? So that they can get an ID. But an ID is Kenyan citizenship, isn't it? It's not. So an ID is what? It's proof of citizenship, but it's not citizenship. Whatever, but there are some rights that actually it accords you, like rights to vote and so forth. What's your take on it? I'm trying to compare these with actually what is happening in Mexico. What is Trump's arguments on, especially on immigration actually, on the reason as to why they had to build a wall on the Mexican border and whatever he says about Mexicans? What are his views? He sees them as criminals. Mm-hmm. Snakes. By snakes, what do you mean by snakes?
In one of his speech, he uses a quote by somebody and calls the Mexican that are coming into his country as a snake that is seeking refuge in a given house. Then after you converted them, they give you a bite back.
Yeah, I remember that. Actually, I came across that. So, yeah, But now I want you to compare with what is happening here. What is your take on whatever President Trudeau has done in repealing the vetting process that happens before you get the citizenship? I remember there is the governor of Trans Nzoia. What is his name? Natembea. There is something actually he came on gun blazing on that issue, and there is what he said actually on it. I bet you've also come across it. So, Steve?
I think it's a good. They are Kenyans don't need to be treated differently. So they are Kenyans because of their stimulation to want to have them vetted for an idea when other Kenyans in other places are not getting vetted.
So it's a discrimination based on, let me say, is it also race? The Africans? Is it race? The Africans? It's based on tribe, ethnicity. Okay, based on ethnicity because their name. But why was the vetting in place in the first place? What is the argument?
I don't think it was the best idea, if you ask me.
So Seko says he doesn't think it's the best idea.
Because there is a reason, just what you're getting, there is a reason as to why this was put in place. When you consider the northern part of our country, it is much inclined to this terrorism thing, right? So the reason as to why this vetting was put in place is that the country may just be sure that the person being given the identity of Kenya is not somebody who is a terrorist that has come from another country altogether. It would have been a bad thing if the vetting was very vigorous and at times you do not get justice, even if you are genuinely Kenyan.
So we have issues. So I'll pick a few points. I don't want to dwell so much on it. But actually, if I go back for those who have watched actually what Natembea, we remember actually was the provincial commissioner, Rift Valley. So I think maybe let me say he's knowledgeable on security issues and what actually happened. I remember in his comments, he says that actually previously they've had actually Somalis who've gotten the citizenship. They've actually gotten the passport, traveled, and then a certain place has been bombed. And when they follow up, they find that this person is what? Is a Kenyan. But now when they try to go and dig the history of this person, they can't trace like where he was born in Kenya and all that, try and trace the roots of this person. So he's saying that's part of the reason actually that the vetting process was put on the northern part of Kenya to try and curb that. Because one, it will also it was damaging then the passport, let me say the passport status of Kenyans. Because when you travel across, let's say if somebody bombs, let's say another country and it's found that it's a Kenyan. So they start saying that Kenyans are what? Kenyans are terrorists, okay? And that will also damage, let me say, the passport status of Kenya, and even the issuance of visas to Kenyans will actually be more stringent and more neat, because to him he says, after all, these people have been doing what? They have been buying that citizenship. They have been corrupting their way to get what? To get that nini. So, and when you look at the population, in I looked at a statistic. The population of Somalis in Kenya is growing by 5.9% per annum compared to the population growth in Somaliland itself, their country, let me call it the native country, where let me say it's solely Somalis who are there. The population growth in Somalia is 2.4 or 2.5, while in Kenya, the growth is 4.9 of Somali population. Doesn't that raise some alarm? It means there are more immigrations, it means there are than births and so forth. So I'll pick Steve, I won't give you an opportunity. I'll give Effie. It's just a question.
Yeah. When you say Somali, do you mean Somali the country or Somali the tribe? Because
Somali the tribe.
So when you say Somali, like the Somali, you mean the tribe or the country?
So I've spoken of the country and I've spoken of the tribe, let me say. Because this is what I've said. The population in Somali, the country, we have Somali the country.
Somalia.
Okay, Somalia. Sorry. So Somalia, the country, the major population there, I don't know whether it's all or the major population there is Somali. Okay? The population growth there is 2 point something, 2.4, 2 point. But the question is, in Kenya, when they did the census last and in the previous recent years, it shows the population growth in Kenya is 4.9, which actually they are saying it's alarming because it's not normal. Because if anything, that's where they are more. So the population growth there of I don't know. So Steve, Joseph, and Max, you addressed yours? Max. And then we'll close on that issue.
Yeah, I just want to give a reference, not necessarily. So, like in US, black people are stopped by police multiple times and even arrested, even when they cross over to white people, because they are perceived criminals. And this is because there are more incarcerations of black people and there is crime, there is prevalence of crime in black neighborhoods. So that's a fact. There is prevalence of crime for whatever other reason. So I would like, so for the argument that you give about it, is it right to be stopping black people in the United States because they are more likely to be committing crime? Because people tend to think that that is racism, but somehow this is not racism. I was responding to that.
Okay, so Joseph and then Max and that.
Eh,
And I believe on whatever Steve is saying, that actually on the probability of crime rates actually in black or the blacks wherever, whether it's in America or wherever. And when you look at the crime rate also, let me say in Kenya, one of the, I'm not, don't mistake me actually, let me say Isili and Pangani area, you know the status of things there in terms of security. Yeah? You don't? No, we have internet. You can go and but actually, if you need, they are used to gunshots and everything because of crime rates. Okay, come on, carry on, Joseph.
Seco is from Suba, right?
Yeah.
There is people from Suba, when they apply for IDs, they have to be vetted. Yeah. What is the rationale for vetting people in Suba? We border Uganda. So, like, the whole idea is like saying people may infiltrate the border and all that, blah, blah, blah. But you realize it's a blanket, these are blanket policies that the government is using to make up for their, I would say, incompetence or perceived incompetence. If the question about immigration is one that is approached proactively, at least from what I understand or what I know. The government is supposed to, um, when you have these deterrent means, then you're not kutumia to say that unataka kuzuia terrorism and illegal migration, but then at what expense are you going to use that your ground to come up with a blanket policy in affect people of a given identity or a given region. So I think at that moment, it's more on masking government incompetence, which leads to it to injustice. My second point me, people become citizens not just by birth. People become citizens by registration and in other countries by naturalization. So, for example, in Kenya, if you've lived in Kenya for 7 years, you are eligible for citizenship. You see?
Yeah.
So I think these people who are saying, for example, a person who lived in Kenya and they want to apply for citizenship, they meet this criteria. So I do not think that it's even honest for a government to say that since you are coming from region A or region B or region C, then we will want to vet you to make sure you're not Al Shabaab or to make sure you're not A, B, C, and D, and E, and F before you get IDs.
Okay. Yes, Max. Last one.
So I think basically the reason why there's a lot of vetting on these counties is because they're the borders. They're on the borders, and we are like scared.
Isiolo is not even on the border. Isiolo is
Isiolo, but the Garissa
Wajir.
basically it's on the borders. So we are scared like we have Somalis who we don't want in the country. But I think it's so discriminatory, and some genuine people who need to get these documents end up missing very good opportunities because they don't have the documentation. Look what Natembea is saying. What Natembea is saying could be based on a political view. And I think that what Kenyans are fearing, I call it a conspiracy theory, that it's based on political motive. But at the end of the day, there are people who are genuine, who deserve these documents, but they don't get them in time, or they are so frustrated, just because we have a blanket view that we have people that would migrate from Somalia and come and harm us in the country. Instead, the government should just improve on security, so that those who are eligible who should get this documentation, have them at the right time without being frustrated. But again, now we have our political conspiracies, right? People think it was not based on the convenience of people staying in these regions, but it was a political motive. And I would say that is a conspiracy theory at this stage.
Tentative. You can use tentatively a conspiracy.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. So you can, I just wanted to get actually an idea on that. Allow me read, I have very few minutes. Whatever I wanted actually to dwell on, actually I have not. So there is number 3, the withdrawal from Paris Climate Agreement. I remember we said this was part of the things actually which was in, we spoke of a climate issue on when we spoke of Project 2025. So Trump initiated the process to withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement, aligning with his stance on prioritizing domestic energy interests. Number 4, establishment of the, that's hard word, Donge Amani Dodge, Department of Government Efficiency. An executive order establishing the Department of Government Efficiency, appointing Elon Musk to lead efforts in reducing federal spending and combating waste. So while we'll be discussing that, we'll talk about the US aid in detail. So the 5th point, rescission of Biden era executive actions. Trump rescinded numerous executive actions from Biden administration, aiming to reverse policies he deemed harmful or contrary to his administration's objectives. Number 6, ending diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. DEI, or what do you need? They abbreviate DEI. DEI. An executive order was signed to terminate DEI programs with federal agencies. So this next part that I'm about to read, I believe it's business, saying promoting a merit-based system. So when DEI was in place, does it mean that those actually who are being employed, that actually they are overlooking merit in place of actually trying to be inclusive and trying to achieve equity? So promoting a merit-based system and prohibiting DEI initiatives in the private sector. Number 7, restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship. This order aimed to protect free speech rights and prevent government censorship across various platforms. Trump is back on Twitter. On X, it's now X. He's back on X. Since when? Since Elon Musk took over. Okay. Yeah, there is something that I was reading about Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook. In line with these, in that article, there's something that actually hit me, but I never highlighted it here, so I don't remember. I can't paraphrase it well, but maybe I'll give you the and you'll go and search for it. That it said that actually, the Instagram and Facebook are. Oh, it's no longer banned. It was banned. Oh, he didn't ban. Well, okay, I don't know. But there is amesema Instagram and Facebook accounts of Trump. Or who? The parent company in charge of Meta is the parent company of Instagram and is Meta, sorry, which is run by Zuckerberg.
And they unblocked his accounts. So.
Yeah, they unblocked whose accounts? Trump's accounts. But that's not the point that I wanted to highlight, is the strikes, the multiple strikes that people actually need for, is it cyberbullying and what is it called? I don't know. You know, you can report actually a comment on Facebook and it will be... Huh?
There's some posts where you post something you can be taken out because there are certain words.
Yeah, there are certain words and everything. So I don't know how true that is, sorry, but I've seen, they're saying that they have reduced. Actually, it's not happening anymore. That being the comments being pulled down when you've written them because of certain and everything, that it's not happening anymore. So, yeah, I thought I should highlight that. So, number 8, securing the US-Mexico border. Trump declared a national emergency at the southern border, directing resources to enhance border security and address illegal immigration. Number 9, designating drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Designating drug cartels as foreign terrorist organization. An executive order designated specific drug cartels as foreign terrorist organization, enabling enhanced measures to combat their activities. Number 10, reforming the federal hiring process. Trump issued an order to reform federal hiring process, emphasizing merit-based recruitment and reducing reliance on day considerations. So so I wanted to rush on a point that I had said we'll go back to on US aid. Is it US aid or is it USAID or US aid? So US aid, how you choose to name it. So US aid, Kennedy, JF Kennedy, the president, created US aid at the height of the United States Cold War struggle with the Soviet Union. He wanted a more efficient way to counter Soviet influence abroad through foreign assistance, and so the State Department as frustratingly bureaucratic at doing that. Congress passed the Foreign Assistance Act, and Kennedy set up US aid as an independent agency in 1961. US aid has outlived the Soviet Union, which fell in 1991. Today, supporters of US aid argue that US assistance in countries counters Russian and Chinese influence. I wanted to highlight that. China has its own Belt and road foreign aid program worldwide, operating in many countries that the US also wants as partners. So to highlight that, okay, before I comment, let me finish reading this. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has since moved to keep more kinds of strictly life-saving emergency programs going during the freeze. But confusion over what programs are exempted from the Trump administration, stop work orders, and fear of losing US aid permanently is still freezing aid and development work globally. Dozens of senior citizens have been put on leave, thousands of contractors laid off, and employees were told Monday not to enter its Washington headquarters, and USAID's website and its account on X platform have been taken down. The decision to shut down US-funded programs during the 90-day review meant the US was getting a lot more cooperation from recipients of humanitarian development and security assistance, Rubio said. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, he's the one who said that the decision to shut down the US-funded programs during the 90-day review was getting a lot more cooperation from recipients of humanitarian development and security assistance. I wonder how they receive cooperation by withdrawing it. And as I highlighted, actually, when you look at it, the US aid, what actually I was looking at the time is up. So looking at it, I don't have time. I wanted to read something. I said actually I wanted to focus on US aid. And today it's the number 3 trending topic. I don't know whether it's when I woke up and checked. And the argument is that President Barack Obama and Biden's administration used US aid to fund the terrorist group in Nigeria, Boko Haram, to fund Boko Haram, and also to remove President, is it Jonathan? Somebody in 2015 was the president of Nigeria. Good luck, somebody. Yeah, in 2015 then. So that is the argument actually presented today by a certain House of Representative from where? I don't remember his name. I have not written because it's something I just came across this morning. You can go and check. And actually it's trending. It's trending on Twitter with the Nigerians posting pictures of Trump, Biden, and the manager of US aid in Nigeria then saying that actually he has been working with Boko Haram. There's a time that he was dining, I don't know, with their leader and so forth. So I don't know whether it's propaganda or whether it's true, but there's a big probability that it's propaganda, that it was used to fund him. But with US aid, let me talk of the humanitarian. For example, in Uganda, when they pass some laws in regard to, is it LGBTQ laws actually, that what did they pass? That they'll be put to death or something. How did America react to that? It was withdraw, like they would withdraw the funding that they give to the country, okay? So in a way you find that that is also the argument of the conservative, that the far left or the Democrats, let me say, they have been using US aid to do what? To control, to puppet, let me say, to puppet to puppet other countries, okay? But in a way, when we look at it, like in Africa, when that has been withdrawn, we know that actually those societies actually that support that, LGBTQ and everything, eventually actually, since they lack funding, besides them lacking funding, since the governments actually, some of the government projects actually that were funded by US aid will have been withdrawn, actually I don't think America will have a voice on this issue, on trying on issues to do with humanitarian what? Abuse of human rights. Let me say abuse of human rights. They won't have a voice as they had before, because through this funding, actually, it helped propel that idea to try and control and have these go on. So I read something also. We have Victory Farms. You know Victory Farms? Here fish. You know Victory Farms, here fish. Victory Farms is everywhere. So everybody knows Victory. So Victory Farm is a private company, but while it's a private company, it had received, I saw, there's a video that was being played of Victory Farms and how it has helped women gain employment, because actually it's women who prepare the fish, who actually are employed in those centers where they sell the fish, those many of Victory Farms. And to get to that level, actually, they had got assistance from what? From US aid. So it was US aid which was highlighting what they have managed to do in the course of that. So when this is withdrawn, we know that, let me call them the minorities or such groups, and those who have been faced injustices, let me say women and so forth, they'll continue suffering because the organizations that defend their rights actually we lack funding. And besides that, I bet countries like, especially in Africa, will be more radical. And this, I think, by doing that also, America will be losing its sphere of influence in a lot of countries. And more countries, like Kenya, for example, how things are going from some article I read, they are aligning so much to what they want to align with what? With China. Okay? So, America will be losing its influence. I don't know whether that contributes actually to the fall of America, but I think in a way it does contribute. By them removing that, they'll be losing their sphere of influence, and they say actually them as a superpower and everything will actually be even Red Cross. Red Cross is hugely funded by US aid. Now, I don't know what will happen after that. So that's all. That's all for today. Well, I told Joy to record the first part of the Nini off camera, but she insisted on recording it. So we'll close, but it's something that we'll review. It's something that actually was running through my mind. We'll review in our next study. Questions we'll pick during Q&A. So let's pray. Gitao. Pray this.
Tunakushukuru, tunakuinua kwa kipindi ambacho tumejifunza tuweze kuelewa tumekuwa wapi katika wakati huu, zidi kutuongoza na kutulinda tunapoenda sababu ya mambo kuu ya mchana, kuongoza na kutulinde. Tunaomba na hayo katika jina la Yesu Kristo.
Amen.